What if I told you that there was once a time when every person on earth spoke the same language? No translators, no misunderstandings, no barriers between nations. The entire human race could communicate as one. Imagine the possibilities. Imagine what humanity could accomplish if every person worked together toward a common goal. But what if that goal was the wrong one? What if unity itself became dangerous? Because the story you're about to hear is not merely about a tower. It is about ambition, pride, power, and humanity's attempt to create greatness without me. And by the end of this story, you will discover why the collapse of one city would shape the future of every nation on Earth. After the flood, humanity multiplied rapidly. Families became tribes. Tribes became communities. Communities became growing civilizations. The descendants of Noah spread across the earth exactly as I had commanded, or at least they were supposed to. At that time, the entire world shared one language, one speech, one way of communicating. Humanity was united in a way that has never existed since. As people journeyed eastward, they discovered a fertile plain in the land of Shinar. The land was ideal, the opportunity was enormous, the future appeared limitless, so they settled there. At first, everything seemed normal. People worked together, they innovated, they developed new building methods, they learned to make bricks and strengthen them with fire. Technology advanced, civilization progressed, human achievement accelerated. But then something changed. A new idea emerged, a dangerous idea. The people said to one another, "Let us build a city, and a tower whose top reaches into heaven, and let us make a name for ourselves." Pause for a moment. Notice what they did not say. They did not seek my guidance. They did not seek my purpose. They did not ask how they could glorify me. Their focus was entirely different. Let us make a name for ourselves. Those words reveal the true problem. The tower was never merely about architecture. It was about pride. Humanity wanted greatness without obedience, success without dependence, glory without its creator. The tower became a monument to self-sufficiency, a declaration that mankind believed it no longer needed me. And this temptation remains alive today. People still pursue recognition, power, status, influence, not necessarily to serve others, but to elevate themselves. The spirit of Babel did not disappear. It simply changed forms. The city continued to grow. The tower rose higher and higher, brick upon brick, layer upon layer. Human confidence increased with every step. The people believed their future was secure. They believed nothing could stop them. They believed they had become masters of their own destiny. Then I came down to observe the city and the tower they were building. Think about the irony. The people imagined they were constructing something that reached heaven. Yet from my perspective, I still had to come down to see it. Their achievement seemed enormous to them, but compared to eternity, it was insignificant. I saw what humanity was becoming, a united people pursuing a path that would ultimately lead them further away from me. Their strength was not the problem. Their unity was not the problem. Their direction was the problem. When humanity combines power with pride, destruction inevitably follows. Something had to change, so I intervened, not to destroy humanity, but to protect it from itself. I confused their language. Suddenly the workers could no longer understand one another. Instructions became confusion. Plans became chaos. Conversations became impossible. Imagine arriving at the construction site one morning and realizing nobody understands what you're saying. Friends could no longer communicate. Families became divided by language. Projects stalled. The tower stopped growing. The city's ambitions collapsed. In a single moment, the greatest human project of that age came to an end. The city became known as Babel, because there I confused the languages of the earth. And from that place, humanity was scattered across the world. The very thing they were trying to avoid became unavoidable. They had wanted to remain together, yet they were dispersed. They wanted to establish their own greatness, yet their city became a warning. They sought unity apart from me, yet found division instead. And perhaps that is one of the greatest lessons of Babel. Unity without truth eventually becomes destructive. Power without humility eventually becomes dangerous. Achievement without purpose eventually becomes empty. But Genesis chapter 11 does not end with Babel, because while one story closes, another begins. The narrative shifts away from nations, away from cities, away from towers, and focuses on a single family line, the descendants of Shem. Generation follows generation. Arphaxad, Salah, Eber, Peleg, Reu, Serug, Nahor, Terah. At first, these names may seem ordinary, but hidden within this genealogy is one of the most important figures in all of Scripture, a man whose faith would change history, a man through whom nations would be blessed, a man whose journey would eventually lead to the fulfillment of promises that still impact the world today. His name was Abram, later known as Abraham. Yet when Genesis chapter 11 introduces him, his story has not fully begun. He is simply part of a family living in Ur of the Chaldeans, a man married to Sarai, a woman unable to have children, an ordinary family facing an extraordinary challenge. At first glance, there appears to be nothing remarkable about them. No kingdoms, no armies, no great accomplishments. But this is how my plans often begin, not with power, not with fame, not with public recognition, but with a single person willing to trust me. The chapter closes with Abram's family beginning a journey toward Canaan. They stop in Haran, and there Terah, Abram's father, dies. To many readers it seems like a simple ending, but in reality it is the beginning of a much greater story. The age of Babel is ending. The age of Abraham is about to begin, and through one man's faith, the course of history will change forever. Perhaps the greatest lesson of Genesis chapter 11 is this: humanity attempted to reach heaven through its own effort, but my plan was never for people to climb their way to me. My plan was always to reach down and call them to myself. Babel teaches the danger of pride. Abraham will teach the power of faith. One sought to make a name for himself. The other will trust me to establish his name. And the difference between those two paths changes everything. If this story has deepened your understanding of Scripture, subscribe to Primordial Lore and continue exploring the greatest stories ever told. And now, continue to the next chapter, where an ordinary man receives an extraordinary command that will transform his life, his descendants, and the destiny of nations.